All right, so the Golden State Warriors were busy today in free agency. They re-signed Kevon Looney to a 3-year, $25.5 million deal. They also extended an offer and signed Dante DiVincenzo to a 2-year, $9.3 million deal. Um, I think this is an interesting acquisition. I love Dante DiVincenzo, and I love the value that he brings.
I do too.
And I think that they got him for a lot cheaper than he's worth. So I
Yeah.
love that signing for the Warriors. I like retaining Kevon Looney. However, I think you're paying him a little too much money. I think 25 mil is
You got to think though. Who's setting those screens for Steph Curry to get so open? Think about it. Those screens that he set. He is the when Draymond brings that ball up and Steph's coming off that pick. Who is the main guy setting those screens? It's Kevon Looney, and he
yeah.
does a darn good job at doing that. And that's very, very valuable when you have shooters like that on your team. So I don't think he's being overpaid at all, just strictly off of that. And he's getting what was it, in a game against Denver or something like that? He had like 23 rebounds.
Yeah, people were calling him Kevon Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah, like
he had like 22
no, dude, he's
points
nice.
like 22 points and 24 rebounds.
And
or
he's a
something
lob
like that.
threat. He's a lob threat. So once they both crash up on Steph, then he just dips it down. Yeah, he's super valuable to that team. I think because especially and another thing that helps is that you got Dante DiVincenzo for so little that you can almost afford to pay Kevon Looney a little bit more. You know?
Yeah, I'm not very high on Kevon Looney, but you do make good points. He's valuable in his own way. I just think that there's a lot better out there that you could pay 25 mil to.
Yeah, but that's the guy. But that's the guy they've been rocking with this whole time. So
Yeah,
I
and
get it.
here's the thing. Here's the thing as well that I am going to bring up. They did good in retaining him, but they haven't done good in retaining a lot of their other guys.
Yeah.
They've been letting a couple of them walk. Juan Toscano-Anderson signing with the Lakers, Gary Payton Jr. signing with the Trailblazers. It's interesting to me to see those guys walk after winning a championship, but at the same time, like, it's come time that those guys are now unrestricted free agents and they played well and they want more money than they were making on the Warriors in that championship run.
Right.
And I'll be interested to see if they can retain Otto Porter Jr. because he's also a free agent. So if they can retain him, that would be phenomenal. But
that'd be huge.
We both talked about that when I think this was like the first round of the playoffs, and we were in my townhouse on campus. This was like the first time that I'd really sat down and watched the Warriors play this season, and I was looking at all the guys that were playing. And then when they subbed out all their starters and brought in their bench guys, and it was like guys that were extremely valuable and guys that had started on other teams. And I was looking at this roster and I'm like, this is a roster to win a championship. And that was in the first round. Yeah. So I finally like got woken up to how good the Warriors were this past season. But I think I think that they've got some stuff they need to do. They're going to have to be paying Andrew Wiggins here soon, next year. Same thing with Jordan Poole. They're going to have to pay Jordan Poole next year too.
Right.
So retaining your guys is going to be hard, and I guess losing Juan Toscano-Anderson isn't too big because he didn't play very much, but losing Gary Payton Jr. hurts a little bit because he's a very strong defensive presence on that team. Right. My question is for you, do you think they can make another run at a championship next year if they continue on this path of not being able to retain some of these guys?
Next year, yes. Because like you said, Gary Payton II, great player, you replace him with DiVincenzo. Who's the other guy? Juan Toscano-Anderson, he didn't even play that much in the playoffs in the first place. Damian Lee didn't play that much in the playoffs in the first place.
Yeah, I forgot about
now,
Damian Lee too.
Eventually you're going to start. Now you lost Gary Payton. Now you lost Juan Toscano-Anderson. Eventually that's going to turn into bigger players, right? Eventually it's going to be Jordan Poole. Eventually it's going to be Andrew Wiggins. Eventually maybe a Klay Thompson, right? So
I don't know about Klay,
if they get Well, I'm just throwing stuff out there. But if it gets to that point, then no, they're not going to be able to compete for a championship. But I hate to say it, and I love Gary Payton, but he can be replaced other than a lot easier than what Jordan Poole can or what Andrew Wiggins can. All these guys these key players that they're going to have next year. Jordan Poole's not going anywhere this year, right? Andrew Wiggins isn't going anywhere this year. Steph's obviously not going anywhere, and Clay's not going anywhere. Draymond's not going anywhere, and they just signed back Kevon Looney. That's their starting five, plus their six man. These other guys, I feel like you could replace, and you've already done well once. You already signed DiVincenzo, so I look for them to sign maybe one or two more players. I'm trying to think who's on the block right now. Like, is Joe Harris? Is he a free agent?
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. There you go, right there. That's perfect.
Yeah, he fits
And then
the
next
Warriors
year,
like crazy.
yeah. And then next year, Doug McDermott's going to be a free agent. Shout out, the goat. Doug McDermott's going to listen. Hear me out. Think about how good Doug would be on the Golden State Warriors.
He'd be
Coming off the screen from Kevon Looney and Draymond Green.
He'd be extremely mid like he is right now.
Okay. Oh, but Joe Harris will go crazy.
Joe Harris has a much better skill set than Doug McDermott. Let's not have this argument right now.
Oh my god.
But
it's the same player.
Yeah, but Joe Harris is a better version of him. But
so you're just trying to pick my brain right now.
No. I'm being for real. But let's move off that. My last topic of conversation that I've got for you is I saw something on TikTok earlier, and this is Warriors related, which is why I wanted to include it in this kind of clip. Is somebody was talking about the comparison of Anthony Simons and Jordan Poole. My question is to you.
Yeah, I did see that.
Who is the better player?
Right now, it's Jordan Poole. Right now. Right at this moment. In 2 months when the season starts and the first 10 games come into play and Anthony Simons starts absolutely hooping, I could see it being Anthony Simons. But to me, that's it's also easier to say Jordan Poole because he is in a much better situation as of right now. But I think that helps him tremendously because he's having a lot bigger impact on a more winning team, right?
Yeah, and you could use
that's the only reason I would say that. Skill set probably they're the exact same.
You could use that same argument to because like if you look at Anthony Simons, he was thrust into a starting role, and so he had to play a crazy amount of minutes, which kind of
right. But you forget, so did Jordan Poole.
No. I agree with you. Jordan Poole wasn't a better system, but I'm agreeing with you. So bear with me for a second. That you can say that those numbers from Anthony Simons were kind of inflated because he was the primary scoring option on that Trailblazers team.
Right.
So, this guy's point was that Anthony Simons was a significantly better player than Jordan Poole.
No.
And I looked at him. Obviously, I can't look at him because he's on a screen. But like I looked at this video and I was like, this guy's on something right now. Like I don't know. It was kind of wild to me. I think that Anthony Simons is a very solid player, but Jordan Poole really came out of his shell this season and had a phenomenal year and helped a team win a championship and provided extremely valuable minutes and put up great numbers. There's a reason why that he was in that 6th man of the year conversation, even though he started basically all year.
No.
So, which is why he ended up not winning it and went to Tyler Hero. But
right.
Yeah, it's good conversation. Wrapping up the Warriors talk. I agree with you. I think that the Warriors should be on the lookout for a couple more signings to replace some of the guys that they're losing and look for lower level guys that they could sign to fill some of those roles. I love a Joe Harris. That's a great example. There's got to be a couple out there, but hopefully they can retain those guys and make another run at a championship this year. Stay tuned, guys. We've got a lot more coming for you. There's going to be some more news. Obviously, you've got we talked about this last video. You got KD. You've got Kyrie possibly getting traded. You've got D-Mitch possibly getting traded. So it's going to be an interesting time here in the time of free agency for basketball, and stick with us. We've got it all covered for you. Peace.